And so the new position we're hiring is for regenerative medicine. And are you guys familiar with PRP, platelet-rich plasma, ProStride?
A little bit.
Yeah,
I hear a lot about it, but I don't know much at all. But I hear that a lot lately.
The regenerative medicine. So in the past, if a horse was lame or had an issue, veterinarians loved steroids. They're cheap. They were a good anti-inflammatory, and they would basically quiet the inflamed joint down. But there were no there were no growth factors in it. So all these regenerative medicine technologies are what we call autologous. So in other words, they take the horse's blood, and this is a big deal in human medicine now too, where they'll take your blood and it goes through a series of centrifugation where they'll spin it down with special filters and stuff in it. And for example, ProStride, which is kind of the class act of these regenerative medicine technologies, and it's approved. They use it in humans. It's approved for use in humans. So they'll pull in horses. We pull about 60 mils of blood. Dogs 30 mils, humans 30 mils, but horses obviously are bigger and they don't miss 60 mils of blood. And it goes through these series of steps. And what you end up with is a very rich, concentrated environment of platelets, white blood cells, basically lymphocytes, all these cells, and we inject them back into the body. Okay, so they put them back in joints, back in tendons, and there's two things in there. So I don't know how much of the science you want me to get into it, but for joint disease, interleukin-1 beta and tumor necrosis factor are the bad actors. They're the ones that cause all the inflammations in joints, which ultimately ends up in osteoarthritis, which people get, horses get, dogs get. Basically, any mammal that's ambulatory is going to, at some point, is going to end up with arthritis. Not all, but a lot of them.
Ambulatory, I mean, walks around.
Walking.
Yeah.
Anything that's, and we all move, right?
Yep.
You're moving right now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're putting a cool beverage to your mouth.
Bending an elbow,
okay,
yeah.
So,
yeah.
As I mentioned, the steroids calm down the, so osteoarthritis is this tumor necrosis factor, this interleukin-1 beta, these two bad actors, and they're the ones that continue the destruction. Eventually it destroys the cartilage and you end up with bone on bone, which essentially means you're crippled. You've got arthritis. So you end up taking a lot of non-steroidals, you get more steroid injections. There's no coming back from it, essentially. What the regenerative medicine does is in that cocktail, that soup that I told you about of very concentrated cells, it's got two things in it that, it's got a bunch of things in it, but two of the things are what we call IL-1 receptor antagonists. So it's interleukin-1, but it binds to the receptor. So it stops the bad actor, the IL-1 beta, from actually binding to that receptor. So it stops that. It's got these soluble TNF, tumor necrosis factors in it that stop the TNF. So right there, it kind of hammers the two main bad actors. But it's also got a whole host of growth factors in it. Insulin-like growth factor. It's got alpha-2 macroglobulin. It's got all this good stuff. So not only does it stop the degenerative processes, but it also helps with the regenerative processes. So helping build back that joint to something healthy. So there was a study, they used this, the first study that looked at this particular ProStride, which we call autologous protein solution. And that's the other thing that gets people really confused, and it gets veterinarians confused, because there's PRP, which is platelet-rich plasma, which is another form. It doesn't have exactly everything that ProStride or autologous protein solution has in it, but it's got a lot of good stuff. And that was kind of first generation. IRAP, have you heard of IRAP?
No.
Okay.
No.
These things have been around for probably a decade, and it really has helped horses a lot. But then this autologous protein solution came out, this what we call APS or ProStride. It was developed by a German company, BioZimmermet, and they were using it in humans. And it was approved for use in humans in Europe, Japan, and Canada. But in 2014, 2013, there were some researchers at Ohio State if for anybody in the audience, the Ohio State, because you have to put the definitive article in front of it. I don't know if they're insecure or what, but they put it into a group of horses. I think there were probably 40 horses in this study. And the results were really good. I mean, they were quite good. These horses stayed sound for a year.